Hi fellow mortals and welcome to a new video. So today we're doing something that used to be a YouTube thing like years ago, but a lot of people have actually asked me to do this, so today we're doing the goth tag. So this is just a list of questions that I'll be answering about me being goth. I used to watch a lot of other goth YouTubers do this, so I think it's kind of cool that I'm like actually doing this myself now on YouTube. So I stole this list of questions from the descriptions from other people who done this. Most people who did the goth tag on YouTube put the questions in their description, so I will do the same thing. Also, I finally got a new ring light, so you might notice that the angle and the lighting is a bit different from my other videos. I finally got rid of that double chin angle that I always had in my YouTube videos. I used to film my videos with this thing, but as you can see, it's like very short, so the angle is always kind of bad in my videos. So I'm really happy to finally have an actual good ring light, so hopefully this will make my video quality a little better. And in case you're wondering where I got this beautiful necklace from, it was actually handmade for me by my sister-in-law, so shout out to my sister-in-law in case she's watching this. Before I start answering the questions, I just want to ask you all to please take a look at my Instagram page. I post a lot of other goth content and updates about my channel on there, and also check out my Discord server. It's a really lovely place with lovely people. Everyone is very accepting, it's very active, and we do a lot of fun community stuff over there. We have game nights, movie nights, we made a community playlist. Yeah, definitely join my Discord server and I really hope to see you there. Also, if you want to, please check out the memberships on my channel, and I also want to say a huge thanks to the people who are a member on my channel. So the first question is, how long have you been goth? This is always kind of hard to answer because I do not know if I should count my baby bedtime as me being goth, but I think I started calling myself a goth when I was like 12 years old, so that's 10 years ago. So I usually say that I've been goth for about 10 years, but like I feel like since I was like a small child, I was always already kind of into like darker stuff. I always really liked the gothic fashion and like the goth aesthetic. I always really looked up to people who were kind of like alternative. I was always really into horror movies and like horror stuff. And I would say by the definition of listening to goth music and like being really involved in the subculture, I'd say I was like 16 when I actually started listening to goth music, I think. So that would have been already 6 years. So it's kind of like depends on what you would define really goth as like, because if you count my baby bedtime, it would be 10 years. If you don't count that time, I guess it would be like 6 years or something. How were you introduced to goth? So I think I'm making a more detailed video about this later, so I can really explain like my whole timeline of how I got into goth and like how that went for me. But for me, it really started kind of with an interest in dark things and also very much an interest in the fashion. I always really liked like the goth girl in like TV series or in cartoons. I used to always really love their style, and when I saw someone in real life with like a more alternative style, I always tried to recreate their look. So I would buy things that would be kind of similar to that, or like things I already had as a kid, because as a kid I didn't choose my own clothes, of course. I would always try to like make outfits as dark as possible with the clothes that I had and stuff. So for me, it really started with an interest in the fashion. And it kind of grew from there. Like I got into the literature, I got into the music, I got into the whole community, like through that. What gothic subgenre would you put your... Wow, dat klonk even heel Nederlands. What gothic What gothic subgenre would you put yourself in? So I'm assuming this is like about the fashion subgenres, I guess, because if it's about music, I can just say I listen mostly to gothic rock and dark wave as a music subgenre of goth. But in terms of fashion, I honestly don't really like the whole subgenre thing, because I feel like goth is more about individuality. So I don't really want to look like a typical trad goth or like a typical Victorian goth or like a typical cyber goth. I just want to express myself and kind of wear what I like and not try to fit into a certain category of goth. So I kind of pick things from different subgenres of goth that I use for my style, but I don't think I fit into like one specific category. Like I don't judge anyone who does. Like if you want to be 100% trad goth, that's fine, that's cool, but it's just kind of not for me. That's just kind of not my thing. So some people have called me a romantic goth, but I don't really think I completely fit into that category. So this is kind of a hard question to answer, to be honest. What do you believe to be the basis of the gothic subculture? This is kind of a really mean question, because like whatever you're gonna say, people are gonna become mad at you, because there's just a lot of discussion about this. And I've made so many videos about this, like my entire channel is kind of about what people think a goth is, kind of. But one thing that I always say is, if you want to be a goth and if you want to call yourself a goth, you can. I think most people, and me included, would say that goth is a music-based subculture. Like, the whole goth subculture kind of started from the music. So I think that is definitely like the most important part of the subculture. So I feel like every goth, like, you don't have to like listen to goth music all the time, but I think every single goth at least appreciates the music and that the subculture came from that and that it's a very big part of the subculture. But I think there's a lot of things to goth. Like, you have the fashion, you have the music, you have things like architecture, you have the literature, you also just have the mindset and the lifestyle. There's just a lot of things to goth. So I think everyone appreciates these things to a different level. So some people are a goth but are mostly about the fashion, and some people are a goth but are mostly about the music. Some people are more about like horror movies and like dark things. So I think this is really something that people kind of need to define for themselves. And I think the most important thing that people need to remember is that it came from goth music, and that people should appreciate that if they are a goth. But I honestly think there's enough gatekeeping in this world already. So I'm not gonna sit here and say you can only be goth if you listen to the music every day, or you can only be goth if you wear black lipstick or something like. And I think every goth kind of has similar interests to other goths, so I wouldn't see why we would exclude people just because they don't dress goth, or just because they don't have a playlist of goth songs that is like 40 hours long. I really hope that kind of answers the question. I know it's kind of a vague answer, but like, I don't think you can answer this very easily. Like, it's not a question that you can just be like, oh, just the music, because the subculture, definitely music is like a very huge part of it, but like, there's so much more to the subculture. What do you dislike about being goth? Well, I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but being goth, I don't dislike anything about. This is just a part of my life that I really enjoy. Like, this is how I express myself. I feel more confident when I dress like a goth. I feel more happy when I listen to goth music. I feel really in place with like other goth people and just the whole goth community. But there definitely are certain struggles that kind of come with being goth, and I've actually made a video about that, but I'll just tell you here because I'm not gonna be like, oh, you should watch my other video, because that's annoying. So just to name some of the struggles, firstly, it's definitely the misconceptions about goths. Like, a lot of people in my school think I'm a Satanist, which if I tell them like, oh, goth is about music and style and stuff, they will understand me. But most people assume that because I dress this way and because I call myself a goth, I'm a Satanist, which is kind of an annoying thing because I've told stories about this before, but someone got rejected from a job because of this misconception, and it's just kind of a thing that I don't really want people to think about me, but this is just the way it is. So another kind of struggle being a goth is also because of a misconception about goths, but is the whole goth girlfriend and the objectification of goth thing. Like, I've made so many videos about that, but that is definitely one of the worst things I feel like that kind of happens to you as a goth. Like, the messages that I get from people, also just the assumptions from people in real life who think that I'm part of this subculture because of some kind of kink or BDSM thing. Like, that is not what it's about. And lastly, something that lately hasn't really been bothering me anymore, because now I'm like, just like, I don't care, but especially as a baby bat, this used to be a very huge thing for me, is the gatekeeping in the community. I've also made a lot of videos about that, because I think this is a very like big problem in the goth community, is that people are gatekeeping each other all the time. The newer goths always feel like they're not good enough, and goths are just always calling each other a poser. And then a lot of people also in my comments are always like, well, you don't really seem like a goth. Oh, you don't smoke, so you cannot be a goth. Or you're happy, so you cannot be a goth, because as a goth you need to be depressed, which also, by the way, isn't true. But yeah, the gatekeeping is a really big thing. I used to care a lot about that, but lately I've not really been caring about that much anymore. But it's still something I think I should spread a lot of awareness about, and I should make videos about, because I know mostly newer goths are struggling with this a lot. And especially people who are on social media like TikTok a lot. It's a very huge thing over there. So I think I should always kind of mention these things in my videos. But again, these are kind of just like struggles that like kind of happen sometimes. But this is definitely not something that makes it not worth being goth. For me, just this whole subculture and just the whole community is such a big important and happy part of my life that I could not say that I dislike it or dislike a part about it, because I just don't. What do your parents think of it? I've watched a few other content creators do this gothic video, and most of them said that their parents really liked it. And I want to start by saying that my parents are super supportive, like they're very accepting, but they don't really like it. They're just not really into the style, which I think is fine. A lot of people do not like my style, just like I don't like their style. Like, that's fine, everyone has their own taste. But I think they are not super into it. Like, I always get these comments like, you should wear more color. And I also used to have this thing with my mom that if I went shopping, if I bought something in color, she would pay it for me, and if I bought something in black, she wouldn't pay it for me. So that used to be kind of a thing, which I now think is kind of funny, but of course I didn't really buy colorful things that often. So, but they definitely just accept me and my style, because I feel like, especially after so many years, they kind of see that it's not necessarily a phase. At least, I don't know, after 10 years it couldn't really be a phase, I guess. But yeah, they're not very into like the style. As for music, also not really, but I know that my dad really likes The Cure too. I'm really happy about that. We kind of do have that in common, because I know a lot of people in the goth community who have parents who are also really into goth and the goth music. I don't think my parents are that into goth music, but there's some bands like The Cure that they know and they also like, so I think that's pretty nice. So yeah, I guess they're not really overly positive about it, but also definitely not overly negative. Eyebrows or no eyebrows? Well, I guess you can already see, or maybe some people don't see that, but I have my natural eyebrows. I always feel like they don't really match my hair when my hair is red, and also my makeup is like all black and my eyebrows are like blonde, or like brown blonde. But honestly, when I do my eyebrows with like a pencil or something, I just don't think it looks good. Like on my face, doing my eyebrows or drawing on my eyebrows just doesn't look good, in my opinion. Or maybe I'm just really bad at it. But I personally like to keep my own eyebrows, because if I were to shave them off, I don't think I could actually draw them on very well, so I would just be eyebrowless. But yeah, that's just my personal preference. I like to keep my own eyebrows because I do not know how to draw on eyebrows, and if I do, it just looks kind of bad. But I always really like when goths draw on their own eyebrows. I think that looks very good, especially with like the trad goth kind of thing. It just looks so good with like drawn eyebrows, but I just cannot do it. So for me it's eyebrows, and for other people I would say do whatever you like. What is your favorite band? I think I've already said this a couple of times, and I guess you can also kind of see it, but I really like The Cure and Bauhaus, these two. I don't really have one specific super favorite band, because I just listen to a lot of different bands. I'm the type of person who doesn't like one specific artist, but mostly like specific songs. So for example, like Susie and the Banshees, I like a couple of their songs and I like them like with all my heart and a lot, and I love them and I'm obsessed with those songs. But I just do not like every song, so I always feel like I cannot say like that's one of my favorite bands, because there's just only a couple of songs that I really like. But from The Cure and Bauhaus, I've been listening to them the longest and the most, so I always kind of name them as my favorite bands, because from them I feel like I like almost every song. So I guess those would be my favorites, but there's just so many that I really, really appreciate. Your opinion on Marilyn Manson? I think his music is good. I think his look is really cool. I think he's definitely very talented. I like some of his songs. I think I've like 2 or 3 songs of his in my playlist, but I do not really listen to him. And there's not really a specific reason for that. Like, his music is good, in my opinion, but it's just honestly not the type of music that I usually listen to. So yeah, there's maybe some songs that I listen to sometimes, but I'm not really like a Marilyn Manson listener or something. So my opinion is just, he's good, but not really for me. And I also wonder why he's in this question list, like why Marilyn Manson? I guess there's a lot of people who call Marilyn Manson goth, or who have this misconception about goth that every goth listens to Marilyn Manson, but I don't think his music is goth, like, at all. So yeah, there's that. What were your baby bad days like? So apparently, because I've been watching videos from others about this, apparently some people really dislike the term baby bat. I personally don't really care. Like, I use the term like unironically, and I feel like lately a lot of people have also just been calling themselves baby bats when they're new to the goth community, so I feel like it's not necessarily a negative term, but apparently some people think it is. Someone also commented under one of my videos saying that saying baby bat kind of creates a hierarchy. How do you say this? Hierarchy. That this calling people baby bat causes like hierarchy, which I kind of understand that point. Like, I see what that person meant. So I hope people don't mind when I call newer goths baby bats. But anyway, my days as a baby bat were kind of like clueless, I guess. Like in the beginning I was just really bad because, as I said, for me it started with fashion. So my older looks were pretty bad because I tried to look dark and goth, but I don't think I was really succeeding at that. Also, my makeup looks were so absolutely awful. I do not think I have any pictures of that because in a mood of shame I deleted all of those ones. But I used to do this really awful eyeshadow look where I just like put on black or like dark purple eyeliner like all over my eye, and it would look pretty bad. And also in the beginning I just didn't really know what the whole goth thing was about. I already called myself goth since I was 12, but I only really got into the music a few years after that. So I was kind of like clueless about what it was about. I also didn't know any other goths. Like I know there's some people who really grew up with it, but I still only know like 2 people in my real life who are goth, because I feel like it's just not really common here. Like, or maybe I've just not really had much luck meeting goth people here, but I didn't know many people who were goth. So I was very clueless, and most of the things that I learned about this subculture were actually through YouTube videos and just other people on the internet who were older and more experienced than me. So I was pretty clueless, and I was kind of the only kid in school who was a bit alternative. So I also, like, I didn't get bullied for being goth, but there were definitely a lot of comments made about me, especially with my very awful makeup looks and clothing looks. But yeah, I also want to add that this was definitely a very good and important part of my life because my baby bat days are kind of what led to me being who I am now, and also mostly discovering who I am. Like, I say I'm clueless, but I think I was also just kind of starting to discover who I am and what I wanted to be and what I wanted my life to be like and what I like wanted to look like and what things I was really interested in. And that is also something that made me really happy. So it wasn't like I was having a bad time as a baby bat, definitely not. I was having a great time because I was finally finding out more about the things that I really liked. So yeah, so those were my answers to the questions from the goth tag. If you want to find these questions for yourself, look in my description, and also let me know if you're doing the goth tag too, so I can check out your video if you do so. I didn't really see anyone else who did this trend thing do this, but I would really like to kind of make this a trend that we pass on to each other. So I would really like to pass this goth tag or like challenge Meeko to do this. Meeko is a friend of mine that I met in the Discord server from my community, and they're actually a fellow goth YouTuber. And if you want to learn more about the goth subculture or just goth music, definitely check out Meeko's channel because they make a lot of detailed and well-researched videos about goth bands. I will put a link to Meeko's channel in the description down below and maybe in the comments if I remember that. So I think you can all also look forward to Meeko doing this goth tag on their channel. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe to my channel, leave a like and a comment under my video, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!